Okay, thank you for joining us at today's RestFest Film Festival filmmaker panel. Today's panel, we are meeting some of the filmmakers from the mid-air/suspended panel. The festival officially ends Saturday night Pacific time. However, if you still would like to watch the films and you haven't yet, whenever you press play on a program, you'll have the full 28 days to finish watching. So just make sure to press play before midnight Pacific time on the 28th of February. We have begun recording. I'll begin with a self-description and an introduction to myself. I am Bec Miriam. I'm founder and organizer of RestFest Film Festival. I am a crip mad, non-binary, ADHD person in my mid-late 20s. I live on Kumeyaay Islands, and that's me. For access measures today, we have automated closed captioning and transcription enabled. To turn that on, there's a little CC in the bar at the bottom of your Zoom window to turn captioning on, and then an arrow next to that to turn on transcription. If you're on a mobile device, swipe all the way to the right at the bottom of the bar. Click the three dots inside a circle, and you'll be able to turn on captions and view transcript from there. For audio describing, visual descriptions are provided by speakers. Please maximize your comfort, which may mean having your camera off or on, coming late or leaving early, lying down, stimming, wearing comfortable attire, communicating via chat only or not at all, and anything else you feel will maximize your comfort. And this is true for the filmmakers in the panel today as well. Please try to keep your camera stable as well to accommodate chronic dizziness. A quiet/low sensory breakout room will be available to enter at any time if you'd like to take a break without having to exit the event. Please remain quiet and with your video off if you are there. Again, this is recorded and will be available online to access publicly for free. And for live access support today, please feel free to reach out for assistance with anything via speaking aloud or by chatting Alexa Dexa. Alexa Dexa is our wonderful access artist and sound witch artist here today as well. Alexa, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, Alexa here. I'm so happy to be here with you all. I'm a non-binary person. My skin is white with light olive tones. I'm floating in a virtual background of little pink animated candles that flicker from side to side. And if there's anything I can do to assist you in any way, I'm so happy to be doing that. I'll be monitoring the chat. So yeah, if I can help create some ease for you, please let me know.
Thank you, Alexa. Very grateful to you. Thank you. I'll now be taking a group photo, a screenshot for possible promotional material in the future, and then we'll get started. So I'll just get this set up for us. Okay, let's see. 1, 2, 3. I'll take a second one for safety. 1, 2, 3. Thank you, everybody. Amazing. Okay. To get us started today, I would love to go around and ask each of you to do a self-description and give a brief description of your film and what inspired you to make it. Saba, would you like to get us started?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Hi, everybody. My name is Saba Maheen. I am zooming in from Central Jersey. I myself am from Atlanta, Georgia, and I just spent the last week in San Francisco. So I'm feel like I've gotten like the best of the US and then kind of the worst after this blizzard in Jersey. So, but I missed the bulk of the blizzard, so it's been good. But I myself, I'm a designer and artist organizer. I work in a lot of different sorts of spaces, but I think in the last few years, I've been thinking and talking and making work about Palestine and what's happening over there and its effects on them and Palestinians, then those in the diaspora, since occupation has started, as well as what's happening now and what's going to happen in the future as well. Um, I think generally my film, Starlings, Leaflets, is actually, I think Bec worked with me in trying to make this installation because it kind of acts as a participatory installation film. It's a two-channel projection where when you walk in front of it, some kind of magical things happen with the shadows and what's being projected as well. And so we've made it into a film and try to make it so that it's accessible for everybody here. And I thought that was a really cool way to kind of bring this to wider audiences because I had it developed here in New Jersey at school when I was in grad school at Rutgers. I brought it to different spaces and different film festivals, such as White River Junction Film Festival in New Hampshire and Vermont, and then here as well at RestFest. So it's really awesome to bring it to a large audience. And really, all it takes is for me to send the files and for somebody to have two projectors and a room for it to be displayed in. So it feels cool to make art that is able to be displayed widely for such an important message.
Thank you so much, Saba. It's such a powerful and gorgeous and heartbreaking and work. So thank you for bringing that to us virtually, getting to experiencing it like remotely from bed or from the couch is a really special and unique experience. And it was lovely to work with you on it. Max, would you like to go next?
Hi, I'm Max Stone. I'm a white man with kind of like silver blonde hair. And so this Man in the Moon is a collaboration I did with Rora Blue, who is sadly not here today. But he is like a visual artist and kind of like installation artist. And so I'm like mostly a poet is kind of like my art practice, but I'm also a visual artist too. But this kind of film originated from I wrote the poem Man in the Moon, and it was kind of began out of like a conversation that I had with Rora when we first were starting to get to know each other. We're both trans men, and he was earlier on in his transition than me, and I'm like quite like 7 years deep. I don't know. And so kind of in that conversation, I saw like my past self in him and kind of like he saw his future self in me. And I really wanted to like write that just to give him something to show like it's gonna be okay. Like you're gonna be yourself fully soon one day, like I am. And then I sent the poem to him and he made the video. And then he made like a draft and then together we shot some of it. And so like we're both in the video. And yeah, it's really cool. I'm super proud of it that we have this kind of like archive of it. And we both of our voices are reading it. And it was kind of before his voice changed from testosterone. So it's also really cool to have that. And so we're actually thinking about recording it again now that his voice has changed. So yeah, I'm really excited to be part of RestFest. It's been awesome.
Thank you so much, Max. It's great to have you here and to get to hear about your process as the poet and using your writing in this work and collaborating with Rora, and also you being a visual artist too. Um, yeah, it's really special, and it feels like such a vulnerable work, and also an invitation for us to put ourselves um, into that space and that looking forward and looking back
Mhm.
for queer communities. So, thanks, Max. Hingman.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me here. I am Hingman, and I am Chinese Canadian. I'm currently living in France, and I have my hair piled on top of my head in a bun, and I'm also wearing a virtual mustache, which makes me very happy. And it's just so delightful. And my film is Migration Musings in this program. I'm really impressed with the curation of this the five films that came together because I think there are a lot of through themes in the films, and I think it's I'm super honored to be a part of this group. So Migration Musings is a film where two of my friends who I make films with and I were asked to present a piece of artwork that is actually in storage in video format. and and we were like, what do you mean it's in storage? What do you mean we can't actually show it? Um, and so it was a challenge to figure out what is it that we're trying to tell and what is it we're trying to show in a film. And it ended up being a conversation between us and the artist and herself. And this conversation about identity and migration and change and also art. What is art for? I think that's something that I would love to have that conversation with all of you too, because I think film is um, an art form that really transcends and really has um, the opportunity to bring people together and talk about stuff that's really hard to talk about. So yeah, that's what Migration Musings is about.
Thank you, Hangman. It really is such a powerful and collaborative work, and it feels like I can see you and the filmmakers in this space, in addition to the artist with herself. So having this conversation and this like full and also open space physically in the studio is really beautiful. Um, I'm curious about what you said about in storage. Could you share a bit more about that?
Yeah, so this was I see a comment in the chat saying from Squid saying, I love the visual connection between Starlings, Leaflets, and Migration Musings. 100% I agree with you. When I watched Starlings, Leaflets, I was like, what? It's amazing. And it's such a there's such a strong um connection. And so you asked the question, Beck, what about in storage? So the art piece is a fabric installation that is a white fabric with black brushstrokes. And it's quite large. It's the size of a room. And the art gallery that it usually lives at was going through renovations and were they had to put it away. But at the same time, they wanted to do this project with myself and my film partners to create something and to do some storytelling with their art. And so it we were really attracted to the piece itself and the challenge of trying to tell a story about a spatial um, work it in a way that we can't actually see it. So how do we tell a story of a piece of art that you can't see? So we thought about what the artist wanted people to feel when encountering this art and went from there.
Wow, that's so interesting. Thank you for speaking more on that. That's got me thinking about how all of these films exist both in the world of film, of course, and that's what we're doing here, but also each of them feel very present outside of the world of film and like in space and also in other art mediums. I know, Max, you run, I think, a poetry series. Is that right?
Yeah, I do. I run, it's called Landline Poetry Series, and I mostly do it here in Reno. But yeah, actually, when we first made the video, I was kind of doing this, I guess, one man show sort of performance, um, kind of, and I wanted to like include do that like a performance of Man in the Moon with the video playing in the background. And that's kind of like our deadline for getting it done. So yeah, that was the first iteration of it. So yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Have you how was that process from bringing it out of a more like physical space into a film space? Do you feel that that lands differently?
Yeah, I think I'm really interested in like with just like being a poet and an artist. I'm always kind of looking for ways to look for interconnections between art forms and, like I love collaborating with people because like then we can create something together that we would never have created alone. Um, so yeah, I think it just is really exciting to like bring it yeah, into video form and just yeah, using visuals to kind of not really describe it. Like I feel like the visuals don't like match up exactly with like what's happening in the poem, but they sort of like give it another added element and depth.
Mm, thank you. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Um, I have a question for each of you. Um, what does it mean to you to be a crip or disabled or neurodivergent filmmaker or artist or poet to you? And how do you feel it impacts your work and your practice? Um, we can go in the order again of Saba, Max, Hingman.
Let me defer to y'all. I'm going to think about how I'm
Sure,
going to
yeah.
answer this if you don't mind. So if either of y'all want to answer.
Let's see. Well, so I have bipolar disorder, and that performance I was talking about, it was like my 10-year anniversary from my first episode. So I really wanted to like put together this kind of, I guess, lineup of my poems that kind of, in a way, told my story. And I think that was, yeah, it was like the most powerful thing I've ever done, I think. Just because I don't know, it can be really difficult to live with bipolar disorder and ADHD and anxiety disorder, and very like isolating in some ways. But I think I also try to look at the good things I get out of it because I feel like it does really make me more creative. And I guess that's an age-old question of like, am I like creative because of that, or do I create to deal with it? I don't know. I guess I'll never know. But I think, yeah, I guess I'll always have, it like helps me feel better to know that I always have like, at least I can turn this into a poem or a piece of art, Um, or, when I'm in certain states, I really turn to my practice to, yeah, just work through stuff and make it into something beautiful. So yeah.
I totally feel you on that, Max. Yeah, thanks for putting that into words. Hingman, would you like to share?
Sure, I can go next. I'm a late diagnosed ADHD, which I guess I didn't realize until you asked the question how that relates to my filmmaking. I've realized that all of my films kind of have that element of showing how I think inside of my brain, that I never really set out to do it that way. Like, I'm not like, oh, I'm going to make a film about what it feels like to have ADHD. Um, because I think when I started making films, I wasn't even diagnosed, so I had no idea. And then looking back, every film that I've made is has that has that kind of, I guess, uniqueness. I think it's been long enough that I'm comfortable with saying that because I always felt really uncomfortable being like thinking differently or being made to feel like I think differently. Um, but now looking back, I think it's been being able to do film and storytelling has been a a way to let me kind of explore what's inside of my brain and take it out of my brain and express it externally, and to give it form and to make sense of it.
Yeah, 100%. That externalizing of those internal processes is really powerful, even on a subconscious level, like you're saying. Um, and you're definitely not alone here in your neurodivergence, that's for sure. So thank you. Saba, would you like to share? Also, no pressure if you'd rather
Yeah.
not.
No, I'm glad you all went first because I actually was struggling with like, okay, putting it into words just like you were saying, Hingman. Um, yeah, having neurodivergency, I think, gives me a lot of empathy for the world, and I often work with a lot of different sorts of communities, particularly for this film. It's like I start thinking, and why I thought it was appropriate for this film festival is that so, and I don't have the statistic for it, but so many Palestinians are affected by and are going to be affected for the rest of their lives with disability, with devastating changes in their lives and traumatic changes in them. We as a society outside of Palestine have to be also prepared for. Um, yeah, I mean, it makes you start to think about the storytelling of now of how to affect the future and like the speculative futures of that sort of thing, and that comes with a lot of, like I said, empathy to hear stories, to understand what's happening. And if it's not empathy, because we don't know what the hell that all of the things that are going through, at least the sympathy to understand like we all are citizens of this world. We all have children that we are surrounded by as well. Um, complete families are being lost. And so I think that's what my neurodivergency maybe gives me like the ability to connect with different communities that are unlike myself, to have empathy or sympathy for communities that are unlike that I've ever had an experience with or may have not had an experience with, and to really act with patience and understanding when communicating with those sorts of communities as well. Sorry, I think you're muted, my love.
Thank you. 100%. Speaking to that kind of enhanced connection and empathy that you're speaking on, yeah, really resonates. And what a beautiful work that came out of that experience. It's got me thinking about your choice to use lines from Marwan Makul's poem, and I was wondering how you came to choosing to using, to use those words in your work, and um, what that means to you.
Absolutely. And I don't think I shared like very particular about what the film was about way at the beginning. Um, in these two channels, the first channel is of Starling Murmuration, and that video footage is taken. I think I first saw like these clouds like throughout my life, but I remember seeing one post on Instagram and I saved it. And I think Instagram has started to be my like places where I save little tidbits of things. And then in channel two, the other projector is the evacuation leaflets airdropped over Gaza in late 2023. And I noticed like though it's like such a devastating thing that's happening, the flight of the papers kind of flowing in the air look very similar to those birds, and something that's very natural versus something that's very man-made. Like that juxtaposition was very interesting to me. And so your question, sorry, your question was, remind me your question again, and then I know where I was going with this. Oh, sorry, I
I
think
need to just
there
not
we go.
mute myself. I was asking about your choice of the poem that you used.
Right. And I think the poem itself also came from Instagram, so that's where that was going from. And I think all of those things kind of just came together, especially I think early on in this iteration of the genocide, there was much more coverage because a lot of journalists were not killed by that point. There's a lot less coverage now of what's happening there. And so with so much propaganda coming out of there, so many firsthand accounts of videos coming out of Gaza, and a lot of like people in diaspora also sharing about what's happening there and sharing different artists' works, different poets' works. I think all of those things kind of came together. I was given the assignment of like putting two pieces or two video sources, two sorts of media together and overlapping them in some sort of way or presenting them simultaneously. And so I just felt like there was a version of this film where it was just the videos, but I felt like once I saw that poem, it just made it just perfect. And I, wanted to make the choice to like edit it in both Arabic and English as well, to kind of really tie it together. Yeah.
Yeah. They
Like more
all
than I
really
could even
were.
say. I think the poem like says it all. Like I remember like when I chose it, I was like, I don't know what even to say about all of this because there were such big feelings about it. But I think the poem really just explains it.
All these elements came together, yeah, so perfectly. And I can imagine that moment of finding this like these perfect words to encapsulate what you were putting together. And this role of being the artist as like a collage maker or a archivist is it came out, it resulted in something um, really, really powerful and beautiful, like you're saying, which leads to, conflicting feelings to see something like this and see beauty. Yeah, yeah, thank you, Saba. Um, how did each of you get started with making films and art and poetry? And you're welcome to speak freely, whoever would like to share first. Or we can go in
I can
order,
go.
but I don't want to put anyone in the spot. Yeah.
I can go. So I've always been a writer, like I've always been a poet, I think. I kind of like lost that sort of side of myself when I played soccer and I played like most of my childhood until I played in college. But it was really when I was at Queens College that I took a creative writing class and kind of rediscovered poetry. And I was like, oh, wait, I'm actually really good at this and love it. And kind of decided to really follow down that path. And like for in terms of like visual art, I make like book art and I'm a letterpress printer and a lot of like collage art. But this is really my first time doing anything with film, so I'm really excited to kind of explore this more and do more collaborations with Rora. So yeah.
That's so exciting. I'm looking forward to more film work because it was really, really beautiful, and it's exciting to see this start of a journey in a new medium. Yeah, Ingrid or Saba?
This is a hard question because well, okay, I'll go with like the literally when did I start making films? Um was in 2014 when I was studying intercultural communications. And my prof had made a film, and I had always wanted to make a film. I love like watching media, any kind of moving picture content. I love it. Can't stop watching it. Um, and my prof was like, you can either write a like 60-page paper or make a film. I was like, make a film. That's what I'm gonna do. So that's how I started. The first thing I ever made, I sent it to my prof, and he was like, "This sucks. This is crap." I was like, "Okay, great. That's the end of my dream right there." But no, um, making film and creating, I guess, moving art, moving visuals, um, has been one of those things for me that has moved beyond like, a normal hyper focus. Um, it it could have been a hyper focus, but it's the kind of thing that I loved and kept learning new things in and kept learning and kept kind of expanding what I could do. So it gave me a lot of an avenue for expression an avenue for creating things that I wanted to see in the world that didn't exist. I really like what Saba said about kind of imagining a different future. I think I don't remember exactly what the words were, uh, but that's what I want to do with film, and that's what I've been kind of, or that's why I stuck with it.
Thank you. I'm so glad you did, and that your prof didn't discourage you and you kept going. That's great news for us to get to watch your work. So thank you for doing that. Yeah. Yeah, I'd love to hear from is it Saba you would like to share? Cool.
Yeah, sure. Um, I'd always like drawn in my journal when I was really, really young and called it my designs. And it's kind of funny that I've grown up to be a designer. These are just like little illustrations because I didn't want to do like the journal prompt in the morning. Um, I'd rather have drawn than like written. But I think fast forwarding to college is when I trained as a darkroom photographer on 35 millimeter. And I really like the idea that film, as opposed to like a digital photo, could really capture a time and essence, and like light being like a printmaking sort of thing onto a film at a certain particular time, the only place that it could be in the world. And so that's why I really gravitated toward film. Um, and I think I went into grad school as a photographer, but then I didn't take like one photo in graduate school because there was so much content coming out about Palestine that I ended up being more of like a found image photographer in a sense, where I'd gather and archive a lot of information that was coming out of there. And that's where this film kind of came out of, where I was just like picking and seeing and responding to a lot of different things. And so I think I still am, I definitely call myself a photographer because I love the idea of storytelling and I like taking photos of people and the way a portrait can tell a story, or the way that like, as they say, a picture is a million words sort of thing. But I've pivoted to looking at found film and found imagery, and I kind of bounce between mediums and whatever sort of thing that I'm trying to say, and according to whatever sort of message I'm trying to say. So whether that's through just like still image, or whether that's through film or video or animation or things like that, I kind of see whatever fits. And in this case, like the found image from like Starling Murmuration came from YouTube. It was one film, if I can get into this, it was one filmmaker, Yuval Dax. He's an Israeli wildlife videographer I'd found on YouTube, and I pulled it. And then the evacuation leaflets were from different news sources, um, posted on like just different various news sources that I also pulled from YouTube. And so both of these things are like Israeli made and Israeli produced, of both two different things. So it came, like the provenance of actual, like the videos also becomes interesting to me as well. And where am I pulling from and whether that's with permission or not and stuff like that.
Yeah. Filmmaking as a form of protest as well is so special in what it can do. And I love hearing about your flexibility with different uses of different artistic mediums. Yeah. I I haven't asked this question before, but Hingman, you got me thinking about how you were saying you love watching films and media and all sorts of things, and that being something that was inspiring early on in your journey. And I'm wondering if you have any favorite films, or either just favorite films you like to watch or films that you felt inspired your practice. Either way, any recommendations or inspirations?
I have a lot of favorite films. And it's hard to ask me that question. It depends on the day. But I would say that a film inspiration for me in terms of um, the style and the way the story unfolds. Asian cinema really inspires me. I grew up watching Asian cinema. Wong Kar-wai, who is a filmmaker in Hong Kong, which was kind of, I think, has a very unique style of just showing moments instead of like telling you what's happening. And a lot of Japanese films are like that too. And those are the films that really inspire me. And like my number one recommendation, I guess, is well, Wong Kar-wai, of course, watch his films. But also Studio Ghibli is just so wholesome and amazing and makes you think. There are a lot of difficult themes in there about war, about environment, um about growing up, about grief. Um and that's that I grew up watching that. And if you haven't yet, that's my number one recommendation is Studio Ghibli. It's animated films.
Such good rec. Sorry to put you on the spot on that one. I saw Eric said impossible to answer question.
Agree.
Yeah. It's
Can I say
been,
every film, almost every film I've watched is a favorite film?
oh my gosh. It's been a big Wong Kar-wai year for me. Big fan. And yeah, Studio Ghibli always. Uh, do either Saba or Max want to share about favorite films, favorite artists, favorite poems, or any one that inspired you?
I've suddenly forgotten of any films that ever existed. Um, I whenever I hear people ask me like what my favorite film is out in the wild, and I always say Life of Pi, because it's really just magical feeling and sounding. Like I know like the production budget was like crazy. However, it just like I think it totally worked. Even just like the opening title sequence, the music is really beautiful, showing all the animals in the zoo. Um, and in particular, the line early on in the film where the dad is like, or well, when Pi is like going through each of the religions and he's like trying out Hinduism, he's trying out being Muslim, he's trying out like being a Christian. And the dad is like, if you believe in everything, then it means you believe in nothing. And it's like, I was like, whoa. Yeah, I'll leave it there. I'll leave it there. Yeah. I can't give you a fancy art film right now.
No need. Yeah, no.
I think in terms of poets, my favorite poets are like Frank O'Hara and James Schuyler of the New York School. Really just the New York School in general, because there's lots of poets and painters, visual artists, kind of working together, collaborating, and really just having a good time. um, and also there's a poet, Robert Duncan, and Jess was his husband. I mean, at the time you couldn't actually get legally married. It was like the 60s and 70s, but they had this like household, like a domestic space where they created their art and they kind of collaborated together and also made their own things. And so that really inspires me, especially with like my partnership with Rora of just, him being a visual artist, me being a poet, and kind of, yeah, coming together sometimes and then just inspiring each other. Um,
I love that. Thank you for the poetry recommendations. That's always so helpful and exciting. Um, yeah, you spoke about collaboration, how special that is, and I would love to hear from both Hingman and Sava about the collaborative process for Hingman, both with your collaborators in behind the camera and also with the artist, and Sava as well, if that was a collaborative process or a more, um, I don't know, solitary process. Um, yeah, if whoever would like to start us off there.
I guess I'll jump in. For this film and also a lot of the films that I do, I partner with Adrian Rosesmith, who is my artistic partner. We do a lot of things together. We learned a lot together. She's a photographer and now videographer. Um, the first film that I've ever made, I made by myself. And after that, I told myself that I will never make a film by myself ever again because it's horrible. Um, but also not just on the work sharing and teamwork aspects, but also there is a kind of magic that happens when people bring their brains together. And everyone has their own history, their own experiences, and that is, I think, what the secret ingredient is to a great film is when minds come together and form this new reality.
That's really special. And how did you find the artist, Jenny, right?
Yeah, Ginny Yu is an artist at the who has her work at the Agnes Etherington Art Center in Kingston, um, Canada, and and they have a list of artists who were looking for their stories to be told, and so when Adrian and I were looking through their catalog, this piece really spoke to us because it's not only because of the visual element, but also because it was spatial. And we Adrian and I talk a lot about spaces and taking up space and how do we show up in different spaces versus how we're perceived. So we talk a lot about spaces and art and identity. And so that piece really spoke to us. And that's how we decided to partner with Ginny.
Really special. Yeah, thank you. Saba?
I can go. So I I think in the traditional sense of collaboration, I didn't necessarily have a collaboration in making it. However, in like non-consented collaborators, because usually with collaboration you're actually talking or getting permission or things like that. Of course the poem is by Marwan Makhul. The videos are from Yuval Dax. Um, I put them together, but then a big part of this installation was as I invited people to come and involve themselves in front of it, or whenever it was displayed, when people would come into the exhibition space, they became a part of the piece as well because the shadow of their bodies would be impressed on the wall. Though it's fleeting, though it's like time based or like site specific. Um, I name whenever I've like displayed this, I name one of the materials to be participation and witness, because you're not only witnessing the things that are on the screen or being showed by the projectors, but you're witnessing yourself being impressed upon it, and you automatically kind of place yourself into the situation. But then also there's almost the non-consensual of the light being shown on the bodies of the people who are also in front of the projectors too. And so there's several people that are involved once somebody comes into the screen or comes into the light of the projectors, and lots of different like bodies other than the actual person who's there in the space. And I think it adds on to the piece, and I didn't understand that the shadow play of all of this would be such a big component of it until like the night before I was actually putting this together for like critique. I was playing with it in the studio, like putting the two projectors where they were, and then I just happened to walk in front of them, and then I saw the shadow, and I was like, "Whoa, there's three of me here," because there's the parallax of the two projectors had split my body up into like three bodies, and I was here, and then it was shining on me too, and I was like, "Whoa, there's so many people in this room," and I was here at like 4 a.m. in the studio alone. And so that's when it really became alive, and I think that's where the collaboration comes into play. And I think somebody who might get involved in this or like might get involved in the exhibition can like place ties between how they can be involved in the movement or be removed from the movement as well. And like there's a certain level of choice and where you're moving about in the room as well. In the second part of the film that y'all saw, there's one person that walks into the screen, so it demonstrates the actual like performance of the installation, and that person's name is Tai Matiba. It's a very, very close and dear friend of mine. They're Navajo, non-binary. They're a mathematician. They're a model, and we met each other in undergrad. Um, and we're just really, really sweet friends and often muses. Like one of the first people that I had ever photographed to do portraits with was Ty. And so right now we live closer together, me in Jersey and him in New York. And so I asked him to come by and just to see what sort of shadows he could make, because he likes to dance and to make fun shapes when he does his modeling and things like that. And it ended up being kind of like him dancing in front of it, and I gave him my kofia, and then he started twirling it around, and it became really like a whole nother thing, I think, and maybe a whole nother piece, because there's so many parts to this already, and then that added another layer to it. So I think that is a big collaborator of mine too, especially for this iteration of the piece.
Yeah, it was really exciting to see Ty's movement and that dance element to it, because I know we were working together on the first part of creating how it can be a filmic work, and then you bringing in that exhibition documentation, but also it being a dance piece and its own film work in itself, is yeah, it adds another layer, like you're saying, and it's really special. Um, I'm looking at the chats, and also if anyone has any questions as well for the filmmakers, or if any filmmakers have questions for each other, totally open to that. I saw Adwaita put in the chat, all the films had such an engaging quality, where it wasn't only the viewer looking at the art, but the art looking at the viewer too. Yeah, agreed. Thank you, Adwaita. I think that resonates with what Saba was saying just now, too.
And then I think somebody else asked in the chat if I had experienced any repercussions from using material without consent. I haven't thus far, but it hasn't been super widely distributed in such a way that it's like, oh my God, this is taken from you too. I mean, I think in the past couple of years have faced certain scrutiny about making work about Palestine. Like I think for my thesis work, I was posted in like Mothers Against College Anti-Semitism and things like that. So like crazy stuff. Um, at this point, I'm like kind of like, okay, dox me. I don't really care. Like, I think I use my privilege in that sense. And it's scary times now, I know, but a mentor of mine was like, do the thing and figure it out later. If just to make it, if it's just in the crit studio, do it. Just make it, and we'll see what happens after that. Because if you're just kind of, and I'm kind of like this, where it's just like in my head and I'm like, oh, should I use this? I can take it from this, and I should do this, and then it never really gets out of my head. So it was very much like just do it and then see what happens. I know that's like maybe kind of a cop out answer, but it's very real. It's just like do the thing, take the footage, use it for whatever you need to take it for, and make it for. I think I changed it enough that it's not like directly just showing somebody else's work or footage from it. So that's kind of like a consideration, I guess. But thus far, no repercussions for this particular film.
Thank you, Saba. And thank you, Squid, for such a great question. Yeah, I make found footage work too, and it's like hard to figure out where that line is. But I love, Saba, what you're saying, to just do it. Let's just go for it. Adwaita is asking about social media profiles or online platforms where more of your works could be accessed. I think in everyone's bios on the website there should be links, but if anyone here would like to share where folks can find you online, that would be lovely. As well, I saw Squid asked Hingman, or said a comment, that's actually really inspiring to hear. I think it was after you were talking about your prof not being very encouraging. Um, that's actually really inspiring to hear that as I'm trying new genres slash disciplines, and it's good to hear a positive example of progressing from a beginner state, which I guess is a testament to a positive attitude.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, of course.
I'd love to know, Max, how you came up with the visuals because I found them really uh, they really touched me, especially the part in the film with the mirror in the water, and it was like the moon, and it was just like it had so much meaning to it. Did you write? So I imagine you maybe wrote the poem first and then thought of the visuals. Can you talk about that process?
Yeah, so I wrote the poem and then I sent it to my collaborator, Rora Blue, and he put together kind of a draft version of it, which had most of the visuals, so he's really the one who came up with most of them. So that mirror one, that was him, all him, which I love that so much. I think and the birthday cake and the chairs, I think. And then some of it, like after that, we kind of filmed some of it together. So like a couple of parts where like I'm walking through like the rose garden and like I'm laying in the river, which it was so cold. But yeah, so he is the one who really came up with the visuals. Which yeah, I think that's why it was so cool to collaborate because I wouldn't have came up with those on my own, I don't think, or I would have come up with different ones, I think. So it was really cool to like give him my poem to kind of play with and, you know, play put together the visuals in the way that he kind of thought and saw and like um yeah, I mean it was like a collaborative process in terms of like, I kind of gave him some notes on things and then we came up with kind of finished the rest together. But yeah, it was really all him. So
Such a gorgeous interaction between the visuals and the words. It's really, really, um, yeah, agreed with Hingman. Beautiful. Squid said it was so interesting to experience the stillness of Man in the Moon after the motion of Starlings' leaflets. Mm, definitely. Yeah. Yeah, it's nice to hear about the interactions between these works. I think we're nearing the end. Maybe we have time for like one more question, which I have lots of questions, but I don't want to take up all the space here. If anyone else has any questions, to ask each other or anyone attending. Okay. Well, I would love to know what is next for you. If there's anything in your mind that you're thinking about creating next, if you have anything that you're created already and you've got it in your storage in your hard drive, or a Word doc or something. um, would love to hear about it.
I guess I can go first. So right now I'm working on a new poetry manuscript, and like last March or last May, I was like hospitalized with a kidney infection and sepsis. It was horrible, which also spurred me to have a manic episode, and it was really intense experience. But while I was in the hospital, I started writing like so much, and I kept writing, like I don't know. And so I'm now in the process of revising that work, which it's been long enough because I tried to do it like sooner, but I was just too like emotionally close to it. But now it's been long enough. I've been like in this really great groove of like revising that work and um, just really trying to capture the state of my mind at that time, which is so chaotic and so different from how my mind normally is. And so I don't know, that's been really exciting to work on. Um, and then also, yeah, Aurora and I are trying to do some more collaborations and actually like we want to do some kind of like shadow work with like video, like kind of like Starlings leaflets, where it'll be like in an exhibition and people can kind of walk by. And so I'm excited to kind of play around with that as well.
That's so exciting. It must be. pretty intense to revisit that time in your life in the revision.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Excited to read it when it's revised and available for reading. Yeah, Hangman or Saba.
Saba, you go first.
Okay. Right now, I am trying to figure out how to uh, kind of keep myself involved in the arts and also work collaboratively post-graduate school. And so um, I've been working with this collective named Zaha Creative Collective. And it was kind of created like at Rutgers with a bunch of different people that I had known. And we've worked with different organizations, and I think more like most, not recently, but like in the near future, we're going to be doing a relief printing workshop, and I'll be laser cutting some lino cut sheets, and then we'll be doing community print day, and so people will be able to like ink their pad and then bring whatever garment they want to like kind of decorate, and then I'll be also leading some like visible mending things, and so it becomes kind of like a save your garments, decorate your garments that you already have sort of thing, which it's been really great to commute to like create with community and to like concept these ideas with community and different community spaces. Yeah, and it feels very fulfilling not to just like work solitarily. I think I still have things in my like personal work that I'm working on, but I think with working in community is like where I'm at right now. Yeah.
Love that.
So with my film
put
partner,
our IG
we
handle here. We do a lot of cool visual stuff if y'all want to follow.
with the so what's next? With my yeah, I'm unmuted. Okay. With my film partner Adrian, we are running a community space in Ottawa that is for artists. So that's been keeping me busy. Um, and at the same time, I'm also really super into historical clothing right now. So that's like what I'm doing currently, is building like a wardrobe of historical clothes so that I can look like I just came from, I don't know, the 1500s. Um, Very comfortable clothing from the medieval period. And also medieval European, the thing that's like super ironic is like medieval clothing from Europe is basically the same as like the abaya, or like if you wear a hijab, like it's basically the same thing. And so that's a little fun fact of what I'm learning from sewing historical clothes.
Wow, that's so cool. And yeah, I've never heard of anyone doing that. I love that. And what an interesting way to engage with history in the archive. Um, yeah, lots of truly so cool. That's really cool in the chat. Yeah, we are at the end of our time. This has been so great. I love hearing about each of you and your work and your interest. If there are any last things any of you would like to say, share, this is, I'll leave a moment for that.
Just I wanted to say thank you, Bec and Alexa, for putting this all together and doing this. It's been so great to be part of it. And Hangman and Saba to see your films and I don't know, and do this panel. It's been lovely.
Thank you, Max. Thank you for sharing your work and for being here.
Thank
Yeah,
you
I guess
too.
I'll say thank you too. This is such a great festival, and I've truly never felt so grounded in being able to show up fully. as me in any other place. So thank you, Bec, for making that happen and for creating this space.
Thank you. That means a lot to hear. And I also feel like we creating it together and the energy of that comfort that you're bringing makes me feel comfortable. So thank you also, likewise.
Thanks for organizing it, Beck. It's been really cool to like open my eyes to like see how I can transmit my work and others' work into like different mediums. I think with all of our like films, it becomes like a physical thing that you might have to be in person for, to this thing where we're all watching from our beds, as you said. So I think that's really awesome and a cool kind of model to make things accessible for everybody.
Yeah. Thank you for doing that and bringing that gallery space to our homes. Yeah, thank you, all of you. Thank you for being here. I see a lovely chat from Dax. Yes, that feeling of being able to turn up as your full self. That's why I come back to this festival every year. Dax, that's so sweet. Thank you. That means a lot. Thank you for creating this space together. I feel very lucky and that we're coming to the end of this year's festival with such care and love is really wonderful. So thank you everybody and hope to spend more time together throughout the year and next time. So see you soon and bye. Have a great day
Bye. Thank
and
you.
good night. Bye everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.